Okay. Sure. Yeah.
Do we have to?
All right, everybody, welcome. Time to get started. Daviess County Council, June 14th, 2023 meeting. We will start as we always do with the pledge. Pledge allegiance.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Agenda's changed a little bit, but we will start next with the meeting minutes from May the 10th. If anybody's had a chance to look at them, any corrections, additions?
Motion to approve.
I'm sorry?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve, Mayor, and a second.
Second.
By Matt, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Same sign. All right. We've moved the agenda around to respect for the judge's time, so Judge, you are up for an appropriation.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate the effort to get me back over to work. We're looking at lodging and meals for jurors, and also my staff and myself. I think I spent about $450 on a conference in June. And jurors get $17.50 a day for showing up plus mileage. We have a jury coming in next week on a 9-count child molesting case, so we've called 80 jurors for that. So on an average jury trial, you're looking at anywhere from $2,500 to $3,500 to get them in and then get them fed. We feed them lunch. Once they've been selected as jurors, we have snacks and those kinds of things for them when we bring them in. My perspective has always been to try to treat the citizens that we call as jurors as professionally as we can and as in a considerate manner, because we're asking them to come in and serve, do a constitutional duty. They're ordered to be there in court. And $17.50 a day, which is going to go up to $25 a day, I think, in July. And that was all they could convince the legislators in Indianapolis to do. So you're asking for a lot. And so I think that's why we do feed them snacks, we do feed them lunch. There are some counties, I'll say this, that tell them to bring their own lunch even when they're serving as jurors, or they send them home to do that, and we just haven't done that. So since we've had a couple of big jury trials already and we anticipate some more, that's why we're asking for that $5,000. We've transferred some money around already on these things. We did cut back a little bit on the budget during COVID, I believe, and same thing with transcripts or depositions. The more serious the cases are, the more depositions they're taken. Public defenders in my court do not take depositions for every misdemeanor case or anything like that. We have a pretty good working relationship with them, but they do have to take depositions. Those are sworn statements. They have to be transcribed, and so that's also, we have to pay for transcripts for appeals of criminal cases. And when people are represented by public defenders and we appoint the state public defender to do the appeal, they don't have any skin in the game. So if they're going to prison and they believe they have an appeal issue, they are always going to at least get a transcript done. So that's the $4,000 we're asking for in the fund called transcripts and depositions. I guess one other thing that I would say, that these costs are always difficult to anticipate what they're going to be over a year. Some years back when we had a lot of methamphetamine lab cases when they first came out, we did a ton of trials until everybody figured out that, yes, the prosecutor does know what they're doing. Yes, the lab technicians do know what they're doing, and yes, this is the way it's going to go. So then that went down. Now it seems like, and Mr. Murray's back here, this child molester, after child molester case set for trial, and that's pretty much statewide because those cases are extremely difficult to work out in a plea agreement. Defendants don't want to admit that they've done that. And you don't, certainly as a prosecutor, want to be in a position where you're going to tell a victim, no, we really don't believe you. They have to do that sometimes, but when they have good evidence, well, it's just going to be too difficult to try. It's going to be a week. It's going to cost us this much money. So that's why so many of those are set for trial these days.
Questions, comments for the judge?
Judge, of the $5,000 you have, you said like 500 was for travel or 450 was for lodging or whatever, and so $4,500 is for the meals and the jurors or something.
Yeah, almost all of it's for meals and jurors. We do anticipate having a little bit more money. My staff is going to a yearly conference, and I'll have a little bit of spending. Normally, I usually bill you guys for like one meal when I'm up, rather than the 2 or 3, because I think when I just get there and I eat, this is just me personally, I'm not talking about anybody else in the county, I'm going to eat anyway, and if I stop in and it costs me, $8 or $10, I'm just not going to keep the receipt and give it to you. But my staff certainly. We've talked about before that it's a more complicated world, and they do have a yearly conference that I do send them to. So,
Okay. I move to approve the request.
Both
requests.
I second.
Motion by Tom, second by Matt. All in favor, by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Carried unanimous.
thank you very much.
Thank you for your work. Next up, Purdue Extension.
Good morning, Luis.
Luis?
Thank you, Luis.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you much. Thank you.
So good morning. First of all, I just want to, like always, appreciate your support that you guys are providing for the extension office here in Daviess County. We have kind of moving in this time of the year, working on getting preparation for the 4-H show. It's going to be from July 10th to the 21st. So basically our operation from the office is gonna be moving to the fairgrounds starting on July 6th and then coming back the following Monday after the fair. Things that have happening during this past year, as many of you know, Jane Ann Beer retired from her position as a 4-H educator after 43 years almost that she did here. She served the county on that role, but we're also pleased to announce that Wes Richardson, which is a native from here from Washington and Daviess County and a 4-H member, is going to be taking that lead role on the 4-H program. His official date was May the 22nd, but he's still feeling some commitment with his former county that he was working on. So he's probably going to be here kind of full by the second week of the fair, so he's going to be present during the fair at that time. As far as the extension office, I know that we do different things throughout the community. We involve in different, some of the members of the office are involved in different advisory boards, coalitions throughout the community, and so we try to maintain a presence on what resources we can bring to the community based on the needs that we identified on that One thing that we're working very closely with the health department, and one of those partnerships is what we call the Router Project. Basically, every time that you guys see some flyers, like it's not there, but just to show you that whenever you see promotions like this is outreach, a project that we are running alongside with the health department. The health department are doing all the technical part as far as providing the vaccinations and doing all the logistic of securing some of what we provide on those fairs. Mobile clinics, basically, we're trying to make some outreach throughout the community. One of the main focus that we're doing with this is try to reach out for those underserved, or sometimes those individuals that doesn't reach out to the services, especially the immigrant community. We have 2 outreach events so far this year. We have one back on March on the west end of town, on the tienda Mi Rancho, El Rancho, and we have about, I would say probably about 60 some plus people that attended that event. We also have one here recently back on May by the Community Corrections parking lot, which we really appreciate the opportunity to use the space. And we have good turnout, especially from the Haitian population during that time. So we're trying to reach out to those individuals, and because of those outreach, we are looking forward to do more, especially community needs and focus group with those populations. So we're trying to work with individuals from faculty from Purdue that they wanted to be involved on some on this kind of research, so we can gather some data about the needs of especially the Haitian population and the community. It is we do have some of the cultural differences and language differences, so we're working right now on getting identifying some of those cultural guides in the community, so they can help us to navigate and getting some input, feedback from that community. I think it's for us very important that they're already here. We want to make sure that we do our part to make them feel welcome in the community, and help them to navigate the differences that we have here in the community. So if you guys have any questions for me that I can address at this point. Yes.
Luis, could you elaborate a little bit on the Juntos?
Okay, so Juntos program is what's called Together. It is outreach engagement program that we are gonna start thanks to the United Way of Daviess County. We got some funding, and we're gonna implement the program in the Washington Junior High this upcoming semester. And basically what we are trying to do with this program, it is to engage not only the Hispanic students in the grades 7 to 8, but their families, to keep promoting them to stay in school and keep promoting academic success. I know we don't have a lot of issues with graduation, with high school dropouts, especially from that group, but it has been a trend throughout the United States. So this program, it was originally created in North Carolina State. So it's been implemented for about 15 years already throughout the United States. Right now, there's about probably 18 states that have implemented this program. Daviess County will be the 6th county here in Indiana since the 3 years ago that we started with this, and we're very gracious to have that opportunity. The program basically runs for about 5 weeks. We meet once a week for 5 weeks with the families and the students and family engagement. We talk different topics about how to improve their communications at home, but also how to improve the communication with the schools. We try to make that connection from the school staff, administrator, with the parents, and that way they feel more welcoming to the schools. And if they have any issue, they feel more empowered to know where to go to get that information. I know probably seems something that will be common sense, but for many Hispanic families, whenever they come here to the United States, they come with the focus to provide a better opportunity for their kids. However, they probably spend most of that time working, and maybe if they have a lower education level than their kids, they don't know how to navigate the school system here in the United States. So we wanted to provide them some basic skills and basic information, so that way they feel more welcome and more comfortable on advocating for their own kids and supporting their kids if they decide to do some post-secondary education. Most of that, initially when the program was started, it was to promote college, going into college, but we know that not every kid college is their thing. So we wanted to make sure that we promote trades, certificates, anything that is after high school, so that way they can have better opportunities. At the end of the day, those kids that are already here, they're gonna be the future that we have in our community. They're gonna be our future leaders, so we want to make sure that they have the tools and the parent feel the support that they need to at the same time support their kids.
Thank you.
Any question?
Any other questions, Luis?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Next up, economic development agreements.
Yes.
Mr. Grant?
Okay, so we've been working on these for a little while. They are in final form, so I wanted to get them in front of you. But I would say that typically we want the companies to sign first.
I don't see it.
Some of these were started like last year and are conditioned upon the abatement. When you approved the abatement for the microchip facility, you said this is conditioned on getting some economic development agreements in place. I just wanted to have it on the agenda and have it in front of you, but I'm requesting that the companies sign before we sign, just verifying that this information is accurate from their perspective. We have not done these in the past in my 12 plus years doing this, but it gives us some teeth to pursue the incentive if the parties don't perform like they say they're going to perform. So that's the whole idea. Again, I'm not necessarily looking for your approval and signatures today. I just want you to have it. I want you to have it in front of you, and I would like to get the approvals of the companies first. Our primary contact has been Strongbox, Mr. Kite, who's been here a handful of times, and I would like, we really haven't had contact with the other 4 companies. They're going to be tenants in this facility. So I guess my request is just to review these and see if you have any questions or thoughts. You'll note that it's perhaps the biggest project the county has ever seen, the biggest incentive structure the county has ever seen, and they are paying for almost all of the cost to put this together, which is really positive. So I'm pleased with how this went. I don't need your signatures today unless you just want to cross out Matt's name and write Tony's name and sign it. But I am asking for your, I guess, your review of the information and just to have a general understanding. I've spoken with a handful of you at length, so I felt like it needed to be on the agenda just to see if there are any questions or any further thoughts before it's finalized.
They don't have them in their packets, right? You have them?
Yeah.
Okay.
You should have 5 documents.
Yeah.
There's 5.
So
Go ahead.
are you asking them to approve me to go ahead and sign them? Or you want to table it till next month, or what do you want?
What we can do, I'd like the companies to sign first.
They
because
have
it
made
has-
no commitment yet, right?
They've committed to, they want to get this done, but they need to sign first. It took us a while to get that payment language in, just that they're paying for the cost of this. And this is the latest, greatest version. So again, I just wanted to get it in front of you, but
Still the same question. Once they sign, Do we wait till,
You- it would be great if you wanted to have a motion to have Tony sign once we have their approval back. I mean, it's not gonna change a lot from here. I'm also fine if you wanted to wait to a future meeting, but I wanted to get it in front of you to make sure you understood the big picture when people ask you about it or have questions or anything. Because it does relate to like the CF1 discussion. You'll note that Westgate One's has filled out a document. And I mean, it's the largest incentive that we've ever granted, to my knowledge, by a long shot. So we want to have these in place because we want to make sure everybody is doing what they say they're going to do. And if they don't, then we have the ability to claw back. It's a positive thing.
I'm kind of reluctant. Yeah, I'm reluctant to actually vote to sign it until they actually sign it. So,
Yeah.
I'd say we table our,
you know, we have it for review. We'll take a look at it.
Yep.
Hopefully we reach out and have them sign it, and we'll do it at the next meeting.
That's fine.
when and if they sign, bring it back and we'll look at it at our next meeting and
And this,
that's my thought.
Yeah, agree.
to be fair too, just so we're understanding big picture, it is more protective of us. Let's say they don't follow through on this and we don't even have this. I mean, you can always, just like you're about to go through these CF1s, you can say, well, they're not meeting the expectation. And then we have to fall back on the statute. It's much easier if we've got an economic development agreement that lays out the details and includes the clawback language.
Is there any reluctance on their part to sign these?
I don't believe so. There was reluctance to include them paying for the cost.
Right.
And that's
It wasn't
what,
a significant amount of money, really.
it's really not. But some of these companies are pretty small. And again, we haven't had the interaction with them. We had quite a bit of interaction with Strongbox. Mr. Kite's been here a number of times, and these are his tenants. So they agreed to take on all the cost up to $25,000, and then that will essentially be returned to them in the first year that they receive the benefit of the abatement, right? So it's just less benefit they're receiving, right? So the county will have to pay for that up front, but they are paying for it.
Is each of them 25,000 or 25 in total?
Total.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a $40 million facility. So I don't feel like it's asking a lot.
I certainly don't.
But to be fair, they said, never done this. And notice we've never done this, but we got a good result. So I'm happy with it.
Okay.
People should pay for what they get, right?
yeah, go ahead and stay there for the next one.
Sure.
CF1 abatements.
I'll speak just very briefly. This is something that you do annually. The statute says, I believe there's a May date that's included in the statute. I haven't gone through the entire list to check off that we have one from everyone. We do? Great. I noticed that they all, almost to an applicant, they met and exceeded expectations, which is positive.
I reviewed these yesterday and I was very happy with what I saw on the forms.
Yep, pretty good numbers.
Yes.
Do they need to be done as a whole or individually? Okay. I'm sorry? Okay. I got one way first. Is that what you got?
Yeah. One way.
Everybody's had a chance to review. We did them individual last year. We'll do them individual at first. Again this year. One-way technologies. So we need a motion, first and a second on each of them, correct?
Move to approve.
Motion by Mr. Sprinkle.
I'll second it.
Darren beat you to it. All in
sorry,
favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Alliance Barrier Films. Is that who you got second?
Yes.
Yep, okay.
There's two of them
There's
for
two,
Alliance.
one's
Yep.
personal property and one, we can do those together if everybody doesn't have,
We'll do the two together.
yeah.
Move to approve both of those from Alliance.
I'll second it.
Bud? Tom, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Oh, same sign. Apex, pretty good numbers there.
Real good. Move to approve.
By Tom, second by Marilyn, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Beltec,
Berry Global was,
not on mine.
okay.
Oh,
Oh, it is.
Beltec or Berry, which one's next? I got Beltec. All right, didn't make a difference. We'll do Beltec and then Berry Global.
Move to approve Beltec.
Darren does
Second.
first on Beltec, second by Mike Sprinkle, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Berry Global,
Move to approve.
to approve Mike Myers,
Second.
second by Matt, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
That was for both Berry Globals, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
You got DCEDC Foundation,
Cypress Point,
correct?
that Cypress Point allocation schedule.
What's that?
There's two folders that these are in, so it's confusing.
Oh,
Yeah,
Okay,
that's a city, we don't have to worry about that one.
so let that one go.
yeah.
Oh,
We're not the granting body. If you see on there, it says that the city's common council.
Yeah,
So I don't think that you took the action initially to grant the abatement.
we didn't.
If it's on your list, I think they're providing it to you informationally, but I don't believe that you were the granting body. So maybe just a thought, if we separate those out, and kind of have a spreadsheet for the ones where they were the granting authority, and then at the bottom where they were not, just so they know.
No. Eagle Ray Cars, that was next.
I got Eagle Rail cars on there.
Don't do it or not.
It's, page this is, but that's one with this here. Davis.
Yes. See, you got,
I have the
so
city.
we'll just go.
Gotcha.
What is the Cypress?
Post,
They're on
you got
there.
Eagle Rail Cars.
I think it's the city.
Construction.
That's the city?
It's like some of the housing.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a page in here that's got just the counties on there.
That's what I'm
And
looking
I'm
at.
not real
Yeah,
sure
there's
how I
two
got to
folders
it.
in there. One has city stuff and one
Just
has just
has.
county stuff.
See, what have you got?
The next one then is Graver Post.
Graver Post,
County.
yep.
See, Graver Post,
That's what I've got.
Great Eastern, IMPA.
Okay, we did both Berry Globals, taking away the cities, then the Graver Post is next. There's two of them, one for the personal property, one for the real property.
I will abstain from voting.
Matt abstains from
I'll,
voting.
Move to approve.
Move to approve by Mike, second by Darren, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Post same sign, and Matt abstained. GPC,
Move to approve.
Second.
Tom and Mike, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? McAllister Machinery has two. We'll do together.
So I'll make that motion. The numbers look better than I thought.
Yeah, I agree.
Me too.
Approved from last year for sure.
Yeah.
Second. First by Matt, second by Mike. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Maysville Enterprise, Maysville Properties, sorry. Maysville Properties,
Move to approve.
move to approve by Matt.
No, that's Mike.
Mike
Who's
Sprinkle.
Mike. Second by Marilyn, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Melrose Westgate Holdings LLC.
Was one that did have a little bit of opportunity.
Is this the old EG&G building? Or is this the one that Mr. Bush Commercial
Says Westgate 7 LLC.
I think this was the old building, wasn't it?
Bush Commercial
Bush
or
Commercial one.
EG&G or, I don't recall.
It started in 2017, but I can't remember which one it was.
Sometimes they respond that we merely own the building and
Yeah.
we're gonna have to get the information, but really, you've got the abatement, please provide us the information, I guess. How else can you guys make a decision about it?
Right.
If you have the information. That's all, sorry.
There's really no information on there.
No.
Don't vote on it.
You can, if you don't feel comfortable.
But that could be the tech park.
And there's no numbers.
Hmm?
Oh, yeah,
No,
well,
there's nothing in it.
There's Blaine.
And I'm sorry, a lot of these have the similar names, yes.
I suggest we table this
yeah, I'll
one
just wait
till we get more.
till we have something to look at.
Can we request more information? Okay.
Yeah, hold on that.
You might just make a motion on that, on tabling it.
I'll make a motion to table.
I'll second that for more information.
Matt and Tom, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Obviously, we can see the ones not started below. Obviously, there's no dirt, no sticks, there's nothing going on.
Right.
Right.
Questions, comments on that?
Yeah, True RX, or that's
That's
city.
probably the city,
The city,
but the
yeah.
Westgate SB,
Yeah, that,
The Westgate.
it's all for the county.
Yeah, that one is the Westgate one project. So.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I think we're good.
You did Westgate 1, received, you saw that?
Sure.
I would just point that out to you that the start date is estimated as July 1. So
Yeah.
obviously that's coming up. And there's a lot of moving parts up there. I really wanted to thank council too for just your involvement with these things and just the engagement. You've really been involved and really been helpful with trying to get some of these things together, and I appreciate that. So that's all, and thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Grant. Courthouse renovation funding. There's really no action there. It's just that that's coming down the pike and we need to be, obviously, we need to see numbers before we can see exactly how much, where we're gonna take, from what bucket, what fund,
Right.
and how much we will bond. So that's just supposed to be on our radar, the only reason that's on there. And I think that's been on our radar for about 3 years now, so if we're not, if we haven't had that thought, we got a problem, so. Appointments, Washington Carnegie Library appointment request. Anybody have any questions with?
I'll make a motion to approve Luke,
Okay,
Edwin, Luke.
motion by Matt, second by Marilyn. All in favor of that request, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign.
The salary ordinance, for community corrections.
Oh, mine.
There you go.
Oh,
You can have
we
my
got the
copy.
new one this morning.
Nice blue.
Let's see. Statements, economic development agreements, courthouse. They're not mine.
I ordered black, I thought, that it came in
Not on this
blue.
one.
He said, you want me to get you?
That's all right,
I
Tom
know,
gave me
I
his.
said, No, this will stay in my office.
Gives it character.
He's pretty sharp.
Too many moving
I
parts.
wasn't real fond of the blue, but what do you do?
Right.
Salary ordinance amendment.
Good morning.
That was separate from this, but, so I'm just asking for, I'm transferring funds out of my existing budget into these two, salary line accounts. We had 2 case managers put in their resignations in the last month, so, I feel like we needed to raise the base salary for case managers so we can retain and hire staff. So one of them I raised to $42,000. That was currently at $39,998, and the other one I asked to raise to $44,000. It was currently at $41,520. The reason that one's a little higher is because this person has more experience of who I'm looking at potentially hiring, so I'd like that one to be just a little bit higher.
What's the salary, how many case managers do you have total?
We have 5.
What's the salaries of the other case managers compared to the ones you're bringing in?
Well, Yvette has been there the longest. She's been there 23 years. Hers is about 54 right now. Joe's been there about 15 years. His is about 48. The others are in these low
What is
numbers.
What's your current entry level? Maybe I should have asked you that.
Current entry level is that 39,998.
39.9.
Other community corrections similar to our size and areas runs from about 40 to 47. I mean, it's a huge gap, and so I just kind of wanted to go somewhere in the middle there.
Do you have enough funds to cover this, you're saying?
Yeah, yes, I do. That I can do comfortably
And
for the remaining of the
How many
year.
do you have total?
Total in the office or case managers?
Case managers?
4 right now, but 5
Okay.
positions, yes. Oh yeah, I forgot, my chair of my board would like to say something. So it's like I've got to do something to be somewhat competitive, but yet still be, aware of budget, so.
The people
They
who
need to-
left, when they leave, without getting into specifics, did they leave for higher paying jobs?
They didn't directly come out and say that to me, but from other conversations, I've heard that probably had a little bit to do with that.
What's the qualifications to become?
You have to have a bachelor's degree, so me getting qualified candidates, applicants, has been a struggle. However, I have 5 interviews set up for Friday, so, I mean,
Oh, that's pretty decent, yeah.
that's pretty good. So I'm hoping I can find, people out of that. And actually, Dubois County just emailed me this week asking if we had any openings because they had like 30-some people apply for their one open case manager position. And
Wow.
so they were going to ask them if they wanted an out-of-county referral, and if they were, which one person on that list did apply with us. But there was, on their list, there was like a bilingual person and like all this. I'm like, oh, that'd be awesome. But if they don't live in Daviess County, that's not that it's a requirement to live in Daviess County. However, our case managers are pretty much on call 24/7. So if there's an emergency that happens at 2 a.m. of somebody that cuts their bracelet off and it's a violent offender, like we have to like go into action immediately. So it's just easier if somebody lives in Daviess County. So that's my, just one of my issues right now at community corrections. But I sent an email to you guys last night and to the commissioners just for a request. This isn't on the agenda. I don't even know if I can talk about it, but just for a request for some additional support for our department.
I think to separate, we wanna have that conversation, but
Yeah.
let's go ahead and vote on this.
Okay,
I mean, it's within her budget. I'll make a motion to approve these,
thank you.
increases as presented.
I'll second.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So
Hang on first.
Yes,
is 42, is that, you're proposing that to be the new higher startup wage with someone with no experience, basically,
yes, yes,
from here on out?
yes.
Okay.
So this is what, will be in the budget for,
And your
Next year.
your
For
grant-
next year.
Your dollars, your budget can handle it.
yes.
Okay.
Well, I've requested in my grant a new position, so it would be a 6 case manager. That's for the DOC grant that I don't even know if I receive that until late July. So I don't know if that's even gonna be funded. If they don't partially fund that, see, it's partially funded, it's about 60-40, so 40% funded by them, 60% project income. If they don't approve that position, then I can't fully fund that through our project income fund, that fund 1122. I won't be able to do that.
Are we looking at all the transfers there at the
No,
same?
no,
Just the first
just this,
Yep.
this salary ordinance amendment.
salary ordinance.
Yeah, that's, I wanted.
I already had a first by Matt and I had a second by Mike. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
You want to ask me about my letter or
You're up there, yeah.
another time? So I submitted a letter. I'd been talking to a few council members probably since first time I reached out, maybe was in, I want to say February to a few, and had just a few conversations after that about how much we currently receive from the county, which I put that in my letter. I think in the past or even now that the council thinks that we're fully grant funded, and we're not. We only get like 32.5% funding for our total budget. The rest of it is completely reliant
User fees.
on project user fees, which that's just clients paying their fees. So if clients don't pay their fees, then
Well, if they don't pay
we
them,
may not have a budget.
is there recourse if they don't pay it? What happens?
Yeah, if they get, really it's, and Dan's even told me in the past, if they get 2 weeks behind, we file, a letter with the court, which we have, and we've started to be able to do wage garnishments through the court, which has been helpful when people get really behind.
When did that start?
The wage garnishments last year.
Okay.
We also have like the Trex program, which if anybody has past due fees or something from years ago, that's like that tax system. But we only get like $3,000 or $4,000 a year back from that max. So that's not, we can't even like factor that in because we don't know if we'll get $1,000 next year. But yeah, if people don't pay their fees, or it's just, that's completely our budget. Like 60-some% of our budget is totally reliant on that. So when our numbers grow, we need more staff. So we're not like, so staff isn't having burnout.
Well, if your numbers grow though, shouldn't you get more user fees at the same time? I mean, relatively.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes. So it's just, kind of a balancing act.
So it never, in the history of community corrections, never had to rely on the county for money except for the $6,000 basically for the building rental, you're saying?
Right, and that was just recent. That was just a recent thing too. I think within the last 5 years, even maybe less than that they pay the land lease. I don't know when that changed. That was before I stepped into this role, but.
But historically, the user fees have been enough to pay for 2/3 of the program.
Right, but our budget, it just keeps growing every year because costs are going up. And we raised our user fees probably, I don't know if you remember when we did that 3 years ago? Right before COVID?
It was a couple of years ago, because we went through that process.
For what?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think there's several, I know there's 3 council members that weren't here during that transition period. Well, we went through some things with community corrections. So a lot of this is going to be educational for them. And we hate to come back and talk about, you know, what's happened in the past.
Right.
And I know questions that happen too is, that are asked, and maybe you can be brief on this, is like, what's the difference between community corrections and probation and how those interact from the court side? You know what I mean? Could you kind of explain that a little bit?
Like as in our role,
Yeah.
they are usually after us.
Right.
So we're like the step down from the jail, step down from the prison, and they come to us. We're like a higher level of supervision, more intensive supervision. So we spend a lot more time with these clients. Like if they are high risk, they're seen weekly in our office. There's like a number of dosage hours that each risk level has to receive. Compared to probation, they're maybe seeing them once a month, once every other month, or just non-reporting status.
Sure.
So there's not like, and I'm not saying probation doesn't do a lot, because I know a lot of those probation officers spend a lot of time on certain people.
I just like to, you know, educate everyone.
Yes.
I think that's good.
I appreciate
And they're also state funded.
Right.
I mean, their pay salary scale is, I mean, it's very, very nice compared to ours.
No, I agree, we get that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got total, with all of our clients, different programs, probably 125, or no, I want to say 140, that's with community service also. About 140, but then, you know, supervision is,
It takes time.
right. So
So
it's
each
just-
of them, each case manager person is gonna have like 30 people, you're saying?
Yes. And typically we supervise, I'd like to give them, you know, risk level supervision. Like they see so many high risk people, so many moderate, so many low, so they're balanced out.
Makes
However, I can't do that right now because
You're
I've
just
lost
down staff, yeah.
staff. So it's just strictly by number now, not supervised by risk.
So, so your 2 main sources of funding then are obviously the state and then
Yeah.
your fees.
Yes.
So if your costs are going up and you're not able to cover all those costs, what has the communication been with the state in terms of increasing their,
The state has not granted more than the grant amount we've asked for in the last, I think, 5 years. However, I asked for more this year, so I'm waiting to see if they grant that. Because there was a bill that was passed that community corrections as a whole, like under the DOC unit, received, I don't know if it was $2 million more in that pot for funding. However,
Split
that's
everywhere.
split across the state. So, I mean, I would love if they would grant, you know, my proposal and accept that how I wrote it. But there's no way of me knowing that until end of July.
92 counties.
The user fee
$22,000.
history of that, you said they were raised
Population
like 2 to
appropriated.
3 years ago.
Yeah, so it's
Prior
like
to
3 years.
that, I mean, is there a schedule that you follow as far as, or just whenever we need to kind of thing?
Well,
And I know you're new.
Right,
so.
right. And really, I don't feel like we're like on the high end already.
Okay.
Like according to like the whole state, because you know every conference I try to ask similar counties what they charge their participants either in work release or house arrest, and we're on that high end. So I don't want to make our program unaffordable because you know they always end up like finding fees. Like if we say, hey, you're a month behind, you have to pay this, or you know,
Or what?
I'm gonna tell Dan on you. No.
Okay.
I'm gonna send a notice to the court for the judge and prosecutor to look at.
Become a-
You know, and I hate doing that because it's like you try to put yourself in different. Well, I just meant like for the people, it's like you don't. But I have to remind them and myself that our program is not free.
Right.
We can't just put people on there for free. And, you know, the clients don't understand that and they get upset, like, why do they have to pay basically? And it's like, well, this is an opportunity
This
for
is a
you
good-
not to be
right.
in jail,
Yeah.
This is a result of
you know?
consequences of their actions.
Does the probation officer, they're the one that's telling these people they have to, they go to community
it's-
corrections? Who refers them to you?
The judge,
Oh, the
Judge
judge.
Sabecki, Dan, will get a lot for pretrial from Dan. So it's mainly just the court and prosecutors who orders them to us.
Okay.
And we screen a lot. I mean, we screen a lot of people for the court and prosecutor's office. So we help offset the county's cost with that too and take them. Yeah. The trial that's coming up next week, we
Yeah.
have that guy in work release. We've had him for a year. So, I mean, we have a lot of pretrial sex offenders on our program, a lot of violent offenders, and we just serve all kinds of individuals on our program.
You guys handle all the work release?
I mean, it's in the jail. It's a jail-based work release. It's a jail. It's in the jail. It's housed in the jail. Let me reword that.
Well, there was,
Housed in the jail.
well, my question is though, during COVID, that was shut down, right?
Yes. Yes.
So now it's starting back up.
Yes.
Will that help the user fee part?
If we get people
Well, they'll surely want
ordered
to
in
do
there,
that,
if we
right?
get people ordered to work release, yes.
When did
If
that
they
s-
can.
Did it just start back up, or how long ago?
Work one, there's 3 pods. So there's 2 men's pods, one women's pod. So work release 1, that was open July of last year. And that's been steady ever since we opened it.
Yeah, there's been
Yeah, it's been full. So for a long time, for months, I had a waiting list that, you know, I communicated with Dan, Judge, Gary, and it was just an ongoing waiting list. We opened work 2 this week.
Okay,
So,
so that should help, right? I mean, from a user fee standpoint, if they're working, they're actually,
it should,
yeah.
theoretically, it should.
They've got ankle bracelets, so they gotta pay. And that comes up.
Recently.
More people you have, more
Right.
Yeah.
So the more people, the more staff, and it's,
it takes people to. Believe it or not, they don't always work.
right.
All the time. Finding drugs.
Yeah.
The light post.
Like they don't look there. I mean, it's always there in the bushes across at Gill's. Like they'll hide cigarettes and lighters, and they're not supposed to do that.
We're going to have to walk around.
Yeah.
And the boxes.
Suboxone, yeah. So it's just, I just,
Wow.
to comfortably be able to, and not that we don't have money in project income, we do. We just started using it to pay the rest of the year. But people still have to put money in there so we can pay the rest of our year's budget. At the end of the year, there should be a balance in there to carry over for the next year. And it's just, and I've sent the state statute to, I don't know who I sent that to, that community corrections are considered county employees. Yeah, we don't really receive any type of county assistance. So I reached out to several other community corrections and did get some information that I put in that letter about how they're funded as far as their insurance and, benefits. But really anything just to help support, just so
Well,
it's
let's-
comfortable.
Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
So you listed 2 counties on there. I would like to see all the surrounding counties of us with their, how it's set up. Can you get that? I mean,
I can. I mean, DuBois County is trying to do the same thing I'm doing right now. They're they're trying to
At
do
their own place, it's not in the jail.
they're trying to do the same thing that I'm doing right now. DuBois County is. They're fighting for money from council. Martin County is so small that they don't have a lot of staff, so they just fund it through their project income and their grant dollars, and they don't have a lot of clients. So I hate to even compare to Martin County because we're just not similar in size.
I'd like
Knox
to
County gets a lot of money from their council. They are building that brand new work release facility. I hope it doesn't turn into, I shouldn't say this, it's being live.
Maybe you could
But-
take like the 6, 7 counties that are our size and do some type of comparison. That way we'll have something to work with. I mean, it would help me.
I
Right.
think we wanted to, you know, as we go into budget season, we want to continue
Yes.
this discussion, so any information that you can put together is gonna be helpful.
Okay. I just appreciate you willing to consider it and listen and read information, and I know you're a numbers guy, so
Yeah.
I want to give you all the numbers I can. So I'll probably send out an email to just all the community corrections and send out our county size.
Well,
And,
I think the auditor's office could give you that information, like the counties that we compare, like we compare a lot of other.
okay, that would be
Thanks.
great.
Yeah.
That would be great, and I'll just reach out to those specific counties and
Yeah.
just get information. Some of them may not have, I mean, there's some that don't have, that have a combined community corrections,
Let's
so,
just see what they have.
Yeah, that'd be good.
so,
I'll just say, and it's fine, we get more information, I think, but I would be inclined to, I know we can't do anything about this today, because actually I just read the letter this morning. But, you know, I would be inclined towards supporting this and helping them out. I think they provide a valuable service. I'm very comfortable with the leadership that we have in that department right now. So that's just, you know, my kind of opinion on it. But obviously, we couldn't even, if we had all the information we wanted, we couldn't do anything with it today anyway. But
Right,
still,
no.
you know,
exactly. We wanted to have that discussion, and we appreciate you talking about it. No, it's
And-
awesome.
And thanks for the email. And
Yes.
it helps explain very clearly to me
yes.
what the need is and what's going on with your department. So I
Yes.
appreciate that.
You're welcome. I just want to put it all out in writing because it comes out easier because I don't want to forget to say something or,
And as everyone said, we're in the thick of the budget process, or
Yes.
getting thicker, so you're,
right on time.
Timing's good.
Your timing's good.
Yeah.
All right.
timing's
I
good, but
appreciate-
don't let it drag too long.
Right. Well, if Jen, if you can give me like that information with the counties that Tom suggested,
The counties, the comparison in that book that are our size, that's what she needs.
and I'll reach out to their community corrections and see what they can provide me with.
We need to go through their, while you're there, so we want to go through her transfer.
It just has the numbers in it.
Yes.
Oh, right. I forgot. I had those on there
We'll
too.
go ahead and we'll go backwards here in a minute. First one, clerical to drug testing.
There's a lot on there. I had to break them down, like, just so weird because of the different categories and all. There's got to be an easier way to do that.
So basically, this is based off what she's budgeted out of her grant monies.
Right.
And so now that they've switched gears, because we're mid-year, she's trying to expedite and get all of her dollars used up from that grant. And that's what she's doing here, is she's transferring, and it's out of category, so it has to come before you.
Which is what we discussed for a couple years ago. That's what we wanted to spend the grant dollars first
Yes.
before we moved on, so this
Yes.
is.
All of the grant dollars originally are in 100 series, so it goes towards benefits, salaries, all of that. Towards this month or end of last month, there wasn't enough in each of those categories to make a full payroll. So then transferring them to 200 and 300 series to then pay like the drug testing bill and equipment leasing bill, all those other things that I can then not spend out of project income, spend the rest of these dollars, and then hopefully spend as much as I can, because if I don't spend all that money, then it gets taken out of our grant for the next
Right.
year. So I want to try to spend as much as I can out of there.
Looking at each one of them individually, and we're gonna vote it all as one, do you have any questions?
No.
No. It's all within the grant and transferring, so
I actually make a motion to approve these as
Okay.
presented.
Second.
motion by Matt, second by Mike, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Well, I think you're good.
Thank you.
Laura, thanks for your communication. It's
Thank
very
you.
helpful.
Yeah, thanks.
I'll get you that information. Thank you.
Thanks.
We're gonna go backwards a little bit on the budget hearing and adoption dates. We've had that email and we've got that in front of us. Any questions on that? Talked about the courthouse. Additional appropriations, we've already heard from the judge, the coroner, $3,300. If you had a chance to look at that one.
I did. I'll move to approve.
Motion by Tom, second by
I got a quick question.
question.
He had appropriated $3,300. Has he already spent that money?
That's Jen.
The coroner, he's looking for 3,300. Has he already spent?
Has already spent what he has allocated.
Says initial funds depleted due to increased number of cases in the county.
Well, it's kind of odd. It was the same amount as he budgeted, was what was,
Halfway through the year, so maybe a correlation.
yeah. And last year, I think he spent $1,350 out of what he had budgeted. We've already spent 33 this year. So, okay, if he's out of
the
money,
implication, I
why?
guess.
That's the implication.
He's out of money. I will second the motion.
Matt and Mike.
That would be Tom and Mike.
Tom and Mike.
Tom and Mike.
Yes.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Now we're gonna talk about vehicles.
Yeah, like I talked to you at the end of last meeting, Dodge did have a couple of vehicles sitting down there that was available. And due up next year is our K-9 cars. So, the K-9 cages won't transfer from the current body style into even the new Ford. So even if it was a Ford Explorer, we was gonna need new dog cages anyway. They just don't transfer, so we had to get new dog cages for the Chargers. And that's an expense that's on there. I've also got the radio equipment. I believe we've whittled that down a little bit more, from the 20,000, and it'll probably be whittled down some more than that. I have not gotten a response from the insurance company on the one vehicle. We've asked and asked and asked. We kind of figure that she's in Hawaii on a beach and only works nights, because we're just not getting any responses from them.
Who is our insurance on that?
Hoosier. It's with Paul Williams. Yeah, it's with Paul. So we'll get that check. It'll go right into county general. I'm getting 15,000 trade on the one that I'm trading, and then we'll keep the other one as a spare. So that's the total there. 102,267.
Well, and that's one less request from next year as well.
Right.
That's, yeah.
Yeah, I won't request for these two next year, which was gonna be asked.
Is it one or two vehicles for Nick?
For next year,
You're moving,
two vehicles from next year.
move that, okay.
Yeah. I think I'm only gonna have to ask for one next year, so.
How many miles a year do you put on average
A year,
on a deputy's?
on a deputy's car, 25, 30,000 easy.
A year?
It's not bad.
Is it more than that? That's a patrol. Yeah, that's a patrol. I don't put as much on, but, yeah.
What was it, I think a few years ago, Gary Harpstrike told me that your insurance, when you get to like 100,000 on a vehicle, they don't like it to be out in the road.
They don't like for them to be out on the road.
So you're talking about
We got a 4-year rotation. We try to rotate them out every 4 years. And then we pick the best couple of the ones that we're trading, and we keep them as pool cars. There's times when every pool car is out of is out on circulation. If you've had like the one that's crashed, I got a pool car that's taking care of him, and so we're down a pool car in our lot. But so we're good on cars. Been very fortunate with y'all for how you provide us with our cars. Unlike Martin County, who still drives Crown Vics on patrol. 200,000 miles, I don't see how they survive, but they do.
Questions for Gary?
I would move to approve.
Motion by Mike Sprinkle,
I will second.
second by Matt. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Thank you.
Did I miss something? One thing I was gonna mention, in our packet, we have all the little things that we read. You were reading the ones on the West Boggs meeting. You know, their boat usage is down. They do not receive tax dollars from us. But in March, it said they took the samples and they would have them at the April meeting. And if you look at April, it says we'll have them at the May, and the May's meeting's not in there. They don't receive our tax dollars, but yet Davis County everything runs through Davis County. So obviously we do have some skin in the game. As elected officials, could we not see those results from the water quality? Can you request to them that?
We can send a request and see if Nathan has it. I could even ask for him to come before you and be put on the agenda if you'd like.
You hear stories on the water quality, swimming, not swimming. I just think from our standpoint, can't speak on behalf of the commissioners, but I would think they as well would like to see what the water samples are and what they're doing to take care of it.
And send an email.
Trying to remember, has the new superintendent, has he actually been to a meeting?
Has he what?
Has he been to one of our meetings
was
yet?
here one
Was he?
time.
Okay, I know, I met him at a private event one night.
Came
Ran into
one
him.
time.
Well,
was
he,
here.
he
You can
came
ask.
here
And
in support of something else, but he didn't really speak to us or anything.
Right. Sat over there about where Gary was at, if I remember.
Okay, I couldn't remember if he'd been here, and I met him.
All right. Anything from the crowd outside of the heckler we've had in the back room?
What about the wage?
As far as wage committee, we've met, changed some things, so we will get that out whenever we get into the budget time.
Budgets are due from the departments to us June 30th. So they've only got a couple weeks. So for them to be able to correctly put numbers and figures in for the different departments,
You need it now.
I would like
We need
for
to do it.
that to be expressed.
Okay,
Okay, well, Tom will say what, we've changed a few things here, so.
okay, so we've met several times as a committee. And then we also met with invited the county elected officials, department heads to meet with us on May 22nd and 23rd. A lot of them took us up on that. I don't know what the percentage was, but definitely all the big players were in there. The big departments is what I was saying.
Expensive department.
Yeah, that didn't come out quite right, but, they were all pretty passionate about the job their employees are doing and the need to compensate. And, several of them mentioned the new project at Crane with the chip plant and how that's gonna impact local employment and people leaving our jobs, county jobs. So, after reviewing all that, the wage committee got together again and met. And, these are the recommendations that we would like for you guys to approve. Or at least let's discuss them. One thing that, we looked at was, the compensation for all the elected positions in the county. And I know we looked at it hard last year also. We have one position there at with the county assessor. We had a long-term person that did the county assessing, very qualified. And we didn't feel it was right last year to change that because that person was running on that amount of money. We discussed reducing the compensation for that job. This year, we looked through the same thing, did a comparison with comparable counties and actually all the counties in the state. And our recommendation is to freeze the assessor pay for this year and reevaluate it again next year.
Nothing to do with performance.
No, it's just that position is so far out of bounds when you look at compensation across the state. Probably the biggest thing we did after talking with the elected officials, we have, initially, we said we were proposing a 3.5% increase, but we see the need that we should probably go with a 4% increase across the board for all elected officials and employees. Looked at the jailers after talking to sheriff and
comparisons. Yeah.
yeah, and we're gonna actually bump them a little bit, kind of like we did the deputies back a year and a half ago. So we're gonna give the jailers the 4% plus $1,000. Their new pay would be $62, $647, $28. That impacts 28 people. We also put in a change for the chief deputy, adjusting his pay up to $65,000. For the election board that Lauren has, the people that work election day, we're talking about. So the Office of Election Inspectors, we propose to go up to $225 for them, and for the election judges, $200. Not what she requested, but it is an increase from where we were. And at IT, that position we have, it's a new employee position, and I think it's currently at $42,500, and we were going to adjust it up to $45,000. The only other change we made was in the attorneys for Dan's group, and I don't know that we need to go into that exactly, but there's a combination of county funds and pretrial for all three of the judges to make it more in line with what area other counties are paying in the prosecutor's office. And it wasn't exactly what Dan wanted, but I think we got pretty close on that. That's our recommendations.
Judges, that was attorneys.
I'm sorry, the attorneys.
Yeah.
Attorneys, not the word judge.
Yeah. Dan?
I was just gonna make a case for the longevity for elected. I want to that. Can I just make a real quick case?
Yeah, you can.
This doesn't affect me, by the way. So the longevity concept that we have, and I've been on this longevity board for 10 years, probably going back to when it was Denny. Just want to make a case for elected officials who are not included in the actual policy, and that would be the assessor, the auditor, those. So just very quickly, doesn't include me, doesn't include the judges. It's just $100 per year of service. As it exists right now, I think it would cost the county $10,000 globally. But I just feel like for Gary, who's been in the sheriff's, I think he actually built the original sheriff's department. I mean, he's been there for 30 years plus, and I don't think it's out of line to recognize that with $3,000, $100 per actual year of service. And for the others, I think Jen and I ran this number, it's about, I don't want to misquote it,
10,200.
10,200.
So do what you will with that. It's just me kind of looking out for my other elected colleagues. Everyone in this room knows how tough it is to put your name on a piece of paper and run for office and undergo that scrutiny. And I just feel like there's some recognition that needs to be made for people who've stuck with it for years. Just the institutional knowledge alone is worth far more than the $100 per year. That's all.
Well, one thing, we're gonna say 10,200, but that does exclude the commissioners and the council members.
That's, however you want to do it on that. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying that number does not include that.
Yeah. And we've had that discussion, that you shouldn't get penalized because your knowledge and time here that you were elected to that position. So we've had that conversation and we've talked about it. So the only thing is we've talked it among the three of us, and it really needs, you have to do this in a public meeting, but it needs to be what everyone thinks here. So we can tackle it right now.
I personally wouldn't have a problem with that because, you know, we have a lot of our elected officials work for the county and in departments before they became elected officials, and I know they get a bump in the salary when they're elected to a public office, but yet then they lose any kind of credit they may have earned in the time they've been here. In some cases, we've had people work here for years before they run for an office. I wouldn't have any problem with it, but that's just my opinion.
I'm not, it's a good idea. I'd like to get through next year before we would do anything. Good, bad, or indifferent. I think it does need to be done, but we got a lot of irons in the fire right now. Some major projects coming up. That's my 2 cents. I'd like to revisit this time next year.
I think the knowledge that they bring and the longer that they serve, $100 a year is not a lot.
I don't.
Look at it that way.
Anybody else?
Is something you want to entertain a vote? Or do you want to wait a little bit?
Well, we can't wait.
Yeah.
We can't do it in June. We put it back to the three of us, but that's not really fair either. So, especially when we're split. All right. This is one of those majority rules, and hopefully it's not 3 and 3, so I don't have to vote. All those who are in favor of doing the longevity with the elected officials, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7.
Excluding,
Yeah, nothing includes council and commissioners. And it's a $10,200 hit, that's what it is. So all those who are in favor of doing that on this year's budget, say aye, or raise your hand
When you say this year's budget.
for next year.
Next year.
Okay.
We're working now for the September 6th and 7th adoptions. So those who are in favor of doing that, either raise your hand or say aye so we know. Wait,
And it would exclude the prosecutor, of course, and the judges.
well, they're excluded anyway.
Yeah, in addition to
They're-
council
they're-
and commissioners. I mean, the
Yeah,
judges
theirs is
get that little
dictated.
stipend, but you wouldn't want.
That's dictated by the state, so they're excluded anyway.
Yeah. I mean, the judges, they get that little stipend, we can give them up to 5,000 a year.
I wouldn't want it even if I
Yeah.
was included.
You're not getting it, don't worry about that.
Okay, so we'll clarify.
Okay.
Judges, prosecutor,
Commissioners, council.
council, and commissioners is excluded. Here, give me your sheet. Gary Allison, Jamie Chapman, Lauren Mellon, Rosetta Newton, Chris Ospey, and Jennifer Welch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There you go, there's the motion. Who's in favor, say aye.
I'm in favor.
Raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yours was up, yeah, 4. Those opposed? 2, 4, and 2. So that is adopted, and we will do that, and I'm glad it wasn't 3 and 3. Okay. Questions, comments from anybody
hey, we need to,
in the audience?
we need to do something on the wage. Don't we need a,
We need a motion on the
that was
proposal.
just a
Motion on what-
recommendation.
Recommendation of motion, what the 3 has recommended. That
Any
Tom-
discussion on what Tom?
Tom had the
proposed?
discussion. Those are in favor with that?
Move to approve.
Motion to approve by Mike, second by Marilyn. All in favor with, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous, 6-0.
Thank you guys for your work.
Yes, thank you.
And
I do think that, if I might add, the county officials were very appreciative that we took the time and met with them and got their feedback. And we did get a lot of good feedback. One thing that was mentioned almost by everyone in there was the adjustment we made to the auditor's office a year ago for this year's budget. And that thing, when we looked at adjusting it like pay by position, that thing is designed to be kind of like a pilot project for 2 or 3 years. And we didn't explain that to them, but we didn't really make any comments about it. We just wanted to hear what they wanted to say about it. But I think after 2 or 3 years, we look at the thing and see if it does help retention and if it helps turnover. Right now, I would say it's probably not really been that great. I mean, it didn't make that big a difference, obviously, yet. So I think we need a little more time to evaluate that before we go into
Right.
adjusting a lot of positions in the county.
And obviously, we had a lot of time on it. Tom has done, made him chairman. Tom has done a lot on it. I thank him for that. There's no doubt we would like to be paying more. But as Mike has said earlier, there's a lot of irons right now, but there's always a lot of irons. And when you're losing people to Crane and other places, you gotta take it on. So, comments, questions? Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Matt, second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Not asking for an opposed.